Hey cats, it's Ed Midsole Bud here. It's time to select the most important of shoes. My race shoe for the Brighton Marathon in April 2023. I've got a range of options available and maybe some more contenders to test before April comes around. So I need to get my skates on, or at least my shoes on, and test out all the different options and select one with time to spare. I think the last thing that I want is some remorse turning up to the start line with the wrong shoe that I'm not happy with. When you've got a key race like that, you need to be dead set on a particular one. Let's delve into the analysis of some initial test subjects. I'm channeling my inner Richard O'Brien today. I'm going to reward myself a crystal dependent on each review of each shoe that I do, perhaps with a chance of grabbing the golden shoe at the end in the midsole dome. Hit that subscribe button if you're enjoying the ramblings. Give this video a thumbs up, like, and make sure you share it with your running buddies. Hell on wheels, let's ride on with the rock and sole. I've taken 3 shoes out on long runs over the last month or so. Those are the Puma Deviate Nitro Elite 2, the Adios Pro 3 from Adidas, and this very mucky pair of the Alphafly Next Percent. 14 miles plus on each of these long runs on varying routes, about 700 foot of elevation at least over these routes, mainly undulating roads, country lanes, that sort of thing. Lots of cow pats. I'm going to rate these shoes on 3 different factors and give them an overall score of suitability at the end. How good is the upper fit and ease of achieving a good lockdown over the foot, the cushion of the midsole and how forgiving the foam is over the miles, and also the outsole grip and traction over typical race surfaces I might expect in Brighton. Then I'm going to give them an overall rank as well on suitability at the end. First off is the original Alphafly Next Percent from Nike. It's about 14.3 miles, 24 kilometers run in these. I think that's probably enough to give you a good appreciation of whether the shoe's going to work or not for that distance. Of course it should do. I mean, it's worked for like the fastest marathon runner ever, so. But I'm not him, I've got other requirements. Lockdown over the foot's pretty easy to achieve in this shoe because you kind of just put your foot into it. What I've found is that the lacing really doesn't make all that much difference really to the lockdown. I mean, yes, it tightens the shoe up, but just the actual structure of the upper itself holds the foot in there. I think the laces have got quite a small say in what actually happens with this shoe. The upper's super flexible and really quite containing. It does feel a little bit like a cage. I think sock selection's quite important with the Alphafly Next Percent. Something too thick and it can feel a little bit constrictive in the shoe. Something too thin and it's kind of flapping about on there. It really is a very rigid shoe. And this one's got about 85 odd miles in it and there's still barely any flex in it whatsoever. Bad fit is not something that you want to deal with on 26.2 miles. You've got to be absolutely assured that the shoe's going to work for you. That midsole is exceptionally high in the Alphafly, but I've never felt that it's a particularly forgiving sort of shoe really, mainly due to these AirPods. As somebody that tends to land on their midfoot there and try and make use of these things, it's quite an aggressive ride. I'm not sure that that's something I want over 26.2 miles. I think it feels a little bit jarring almost sometimes. I think I've had this shoe over a couple of years and the ZoomX does feel like it's lost a bit of its magic maybe. It's a bit firmer than I recall. So responsive but yet harsher ride in this one really. Looks like a huge pillow of cushion but doesn't really feel like that to me. Outsole wise, no real worries for me in the Alphafly, though the grip in the rear section of the shoe really isn't the best. I think they could try to improve that. Well, they did, I suppose, in the Alphafly 2 a little bit. I think the softer nature of the foam here and the rubber that they've used in the heel just makes it not quite as effective as some of the other shoes I'm looking at today. That soft foam here gets hammered as well in the back of the shoe. Nike could have extended that rubber back, but they chose not to. I'm not going to really worry too much though about durability of the outsole there. You know, if you're going to get one for a race, I'll probably get a new pair. So it's not really a consideration for durability for this specific use case. Very much a road shoe though, and that's what I'm running them. Moving on to the Adios Pro 3 from Adidas. Again, I took this one up and over that 14-mile threshold, round about the same route as well that I did use for the Alphafly test. I gotta be honest, in terms of upper lockdown here, this is probably my least favourite of the 3 shoes on the video today. That front section, the toe box here, with those lace loops really does sort of limit the versatility in the foot size that the shoe allows. Lacing takes a little while to get just right in this shoe. It's not really something I want to worry about if I'm doing a marathon. I feel the laces actually do contribute a little bit to that sort of inconsistent feeling I get. I can't say I've experienced any major rubbing in this shoe. It's certainly comfortable once I got the lacing right, but then there were a few runs where I had to stop and relace. That's the last thing I want to be doing. Midsole wise, the Adios Pro 3 was pretty consistent over all of the runs I used it in, especially in the longer ones too. I think it's certainly advantageous using it on a more hilly course. The Adidas shoes do really seem to benefit runners when you're going uphill. I think that's a little bit down to the placement of the energy rods there. It just feels a little bit more natural, I suppose. Stability wise, I found these absolutely fine. A mainly foam sort of formula here. You do have those energy rods, of course. Just seems to work a little bit better for me. It feels a bit more natural, not anywhere near as harsh in that mid to forefoot. I think there is something in that energy rod design actually. I did find over the longer run just feels slightly more natural than just a standard flat plate. It's a bit more of a controlled ride versus a harsh one. I have to say, outsole on the Adios Pro 3 works exceptionally well in that longer run. All on road pretty much, a little bit on concrete, trying to keep it within the confines of what I'd run in at Brighton. I found the rubber to be effective in wet and dry conditions too. It's something that I think you could put a lot of faith in actually for a race. Just that upper really does let it down. Lastly, over the 15 miles today, 24 kilometers again, is the Puma Deviate Nitro Elite 2. I found the upper on this shoe to be super accommodating, slightly more traditional, a little bit more easygoing, I suppose. Just a standard approach to lacing here, nothing fancy, no bells and whistles. I found it really easy to achieve a good lockdown regardless of sock thickness or how tightly I sort of cinch the laces. Just seems to work whatever I do. I guess my only real bugbear is how the collar area of the shoe here does feel, I suppose, when you first put it on like it's digging into the edge of your ankle, but I didn't experience any rubbing or discomfort at all on my run today. Seemed to sort of drift away. It's kind of strange. It can just feel like it's touching your ankle. It's a little bit too close, especially when you sort of put your weight on the back of the shoe. But I guess when you're running and you're more on the sort of midfoot area here, it's just not happening quite as much. I also found today on the longer run that the upper material was very breathable, very containing. My foot didn't get awfully hot and sweaty. Midsole wise, despite the apparent lower stack of the Puma Deviate Nitro Elite 2, it held up just fine today. I found the foam protective enough over the 15-mile route. Just kind of keeps out the way without overtly being too in your face, I suppose. It's a more subtle application. The Nitro Elite formula we've got here is squashy, certainly. I'd say it's more along the lines of Light Strike Pro rather than Zoom X. Immensely durable though. The shoe's done about 40 odd miles. It's kind of looking brand new. It's amazing. I don't quite get it. The exposed midsole here on the underside of the shoe's got a little bit of discoloration, but that's it. I think a goal pace of about 7 minutes 30 per mile. That's about 4:39 per kilometer. This one probably feels the best out of all three shoes in today's video. I think it's a combination of the lightness of foam here and maybe the lightness of me that just seems to work together. Outsole wise, nothing else at the moment comes close to Puma grip. There's nothing that has the same assured traction, I suppose. There's this really nice defined feeling when you push off with it. Unmatched at present on anything else that's in my collection. So what about ranking these three shoes in terms of those categories? It's simple. It just doesn't rely on any weird kind of quirks to the upper. The Alphafly feels a little bit like a cage over time. It feels like you're shoehorning yourself in there, though it does feel pretty comfortable over longer sessions. The Adios Pro 3 has just got too many problems there for me to consider it for the marathon, I think. So 1 point for the Adios Pro 3, 2 points for the Alphafly Next Percent, and 3 points for the Deviate Nitro Elite 2. Midsole wise, I think the Alphafly Next Percent still feels a little bit like overkill to me. I think the aggressive nature of the shoe's just going to probably get me to run a little bit too fast in the early stages of the marathon. I need to be controlled there and stick to my goal target pace. The Adios Pro 3, certainly in the midsole, feels nice and stable, creamy and smooth. It's a real versatile shoe in terms of pace range, but again, the simple nature of that Puma just really seems to work for me. So at this point, I've got 3 points for the Alphafly Next Percent, 3 points for the Adios Pro 3, and 6 points for the Deviate Nitro Elite 2. Outsole wise, Puma grip is the king, and certainly very versatile too. The Alphafly has all of the sort of grip there up front and not an awful lot further back. Feels a little bit wide, and I just don't feel that I need all that extra width. I mean, I could probably try and pick up a brand new pair somewhere. I'm not sure I'd probably want to race a marathon in these now. They've been quite heavily used in training. The Adios Pro 3 sticky rubber there feels as good as ever after 100 miles. Here I think I'll probably give a point to the Alphafly and then split the remaining points amongst the Adios Pro 3 and the Puma Deviate Nitro Elite 2. So at this stage we've got 4 points for the Alphafly, we have 5.5 points for the Adios Pro 3 and 8.5 for the Puma Deviate Nitro Elite 2. So, what about the actual suitability for the marathon? Yeah, I'm talking for me now. This is my race shoe. I mean, it may well be that the extra cushion that's in the Alphafly will really help at the latter part of the marathon. You know, they always say that the marathon starts at 20 miles. Ouch. But for my pace, I think the Puma just hits the spot nicely. The lockdown's better, easier to achieve. The shoe just seems to sort of sing at that goal pace that I have. I think it's the weight distribution of it, perhaps. The lower stack seems to keep out of the way of my running gait, and it doesn't seem to change the way that I want to run. That feels natural to me. I think another factor is that I have a pair of the Deviate Nitro 2, which is quite a similar feeling shoe, and I can train in that and really give myself some good experience and a taste of what it will be like, so that when I put the Nitro Elite 2 on, it just feels like I've been running in it for months and months. So I think in terms of suitability, the Adios Pro 3 is out of the question in terms of the upper problem. The Alphafly Next Percent, a little more cushioned, but just a bit too aggressive for me. The Puma takes it then on this first round. Final scores now: the Alphafly Next Percent with 6 points, the Adios Pro 3 with 6.5 points, and with 11.5 points, the Deviate Nitro Elite 2. More comparisons coming very soon for you over my long runs. Lots more contenders coming in as well. Perhaps next time we'll look at the Metaspeed Sky Plus, maybe the Alphafly Next Percent 2 as well. Let me know what you'd like to see in the next episode of this series. Hope you enjoyed it, cats. Very quick musical interlude for you. Been listening to the 2015 album from The Who live at Hyde Park. Great drumming on this. I always think that Who tracks need really good drums, really defined, quite aggressive feel. Don't know who's actually on this one, but they've certainly got the Moons style. Always love the track Can't Explain. It's one of my favourite Who tracks. The guitars here are robust, they certainly mean business. I think Pete Townsend switching to a Stratocaster to play a lot of these tunes, it just seems to really work superbly. A gritty, overdriven vibe on those guitars, and the band sound really good on the rest of the tracks too. Definitely worth checking out if you like live albums. 2015's live at Hyde Park from The Who. Thanks for tuning in, people. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Hit that subscribe button and the bell for notifications. Give this video a thumbs up, like, and share it with your running buddies. My name's Eddbud, and I'll be seeing you